Thank you. I appreciate the invitation. I'm going to speak about a topic. I don't think any of the topics today are pleasant, but this one is particularly unpleasant to me. I'm going to talk about the global war on ivermectin, which was a massive global disinformation campaign whose only objective is to suppress the evidence of efficacy of this life-saving drug. I'm going to take you through almost like a case study. This is what they do. And keep in mind, what I'm going to talk about, it has nothing to do with ivermectin. It has everything to do with a decades-long war. They've been doing these things for decades on any generic off-patent drug, which threatens their profits. The trials. So how come we have all of these big, rigorous, large, high-quality trials, right? There's actually only been 6 of them. So out of the 95 trials, I will tell you the only ones you've seen on the front pages of your newspapers are what I call the big 6. So out of that 95, there were 6 trials that were heavily funded and carried out by investigators. They're called the largest and high-quality trials. What did they show? They somehow concluded, in contradiction to all of the other trials, that ivermectin wasn't effective. How did they do that? They did it because they know how to do it, and they've been doing it for a while. They can design trials to show you something works. They can design trials to show you something doesn't work. They pulled the same tricks over and over and over again. And I will tell you, all you need to know about those 6 trials compared to the 95, with one exception, those were the only trials where almost every single investigator of that trial was drowning in pharmaceutical company financial conflicts of interest. Every other trial had no financial conflicts of interest. So you have to ask yourself why they reached conclusions that completely departed from the rest of the evidence base. Next slide. These are the big 6, and they appeared in the highest impact journals in the world: New England Journal of Medicine, the Journal of American Medical Association, British Medical Journal, The Lancet, and the Annals of Internal Medicine. Every time they were published, they launched PR campaigns across the world. You saw radio stations and television stations and newspapers blaring, latest high-quality study shows that ivermectin doesn't work. And then there's lots of trials showing that the ivermectin advocates, of which I'm one, I will tell you every country in the world has experts on ivermectin who have had to watch and witness this propaganda campaign. Next slide. This is one of the more egregious samples. This is my own country. This is funded by the National Institutes of Health, which is our largest research funder. They just did a couple of trials on ivermectin in Active 6. Next slide. By the way, the lead investigator, Dr. Susanna Nagy, owns stock in a competitor to ivermectin. And she also has conflicts of interest with Gilead, which makes remdesivir, as well as other products that compete with ivermectin. Do you think that she's an objective investigator? And do you think it's an accident she was hired? It is not. She was hired on purpose to do this kind of stuff. And if you look at this trial was originally designed to look at the difference in symptoms at day 14, which would make sense for an acute viral illness. In the middle of the trial, mysteriously, they decided to change the endpoint from day 14 to day 28. Why would they do that? Well, if you look at the results that they found, if you look at the posterior p-efficacy column in the other table, anything above 0.95 is a statistically significant result, which would show that ivermectin is superior. In the middle, you can see this in the journal. It's completely public knowledge. No one talks about it. Do you see now why they moved it from day 14 to day 28? It was to disappear the statistical significance. This paper was published in one of the top journals of the world with the conclusion that ivermectin has no role in the treatment of COVID. You know there's no major differences at day 28. And by the way, this is in all mild patients. Very few went to the hospital. There was 1 death, and that was in the ivermectin group. They never got ivermectin because they died beforehand.